Okay, welcome, my dear friends. Regarding of our CPGate 2025 free online coaching, today's am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in this regard, we would like to invite Dr. A. Shailaja Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, GDC Siddipet Autonomous. Madam, please welcome. I have given chance to share your screen. Madam, please share your screen and start your session, madam. Please welcome.
Sir, PPT is visible, sir.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Today's our topic is anatomy of root. So remaining topics are anatomy of root, and after that anatomy of stem and anatomy of leaf. Actually, this is introduction about the already in the general class we have completed that root structure. See here, this is a root anatomy. So the root constitute the underground part of the plant axis. So that root constitutes the underground part of the plant axis. See here, this is the root. Normally, it develops from the radicle of the embryo. So, but may sometimes it develops from any other part of the plant body. That the taproot system and fibrate root systems are the most common in the seed plants. So that two types of roots are there, that is taproot system and fibrous root system. We know that two types of roots are present in the plants, mainly in the monocots and dicots. That differentiation is there. So fibrous root system is present in the monocot plants, and the taproot system is present in dicot plants. Coming to the anatomy, so enlarged view of cross section of dicot root. See here, so that they are concerned with the mainly that root concerned with the anchorage, absorption, and storage and condition. So in some plants, that entire root or part of the part becomes modified to the specialized function. Mainly the fleshy roots of sweet potato, beet, radish. These are specialized as storage organs. That is the function of root. So some that fleshy roots of sweet potato, beet, radish, these are called storage roots. A fleshy root is often associated with an equally fleshy hypocotyl and lower part of the radicle, and may have an anomalous form of secondary growth. So see here, sometimes we are observed in the mangroves. Mangroves have large aerial prop roots and also aerating roots. So those are called, I think, pneumatophores. Okay. So in the mangroves, we are observed that large aerial prop roots are there. They are called pneumatophores that grow upward and help in the respiration. So some differentiation is there. Some vines and epiphytes develop aerial roots that attach the shoots to the surface upon which the plant is growing. In some parasitic plants that develop the haustoria. So see here that haustoria structures are developed on the parasitic plants. So which establish a connection along which nutrients pass from the host to the parasite. Those are called haustoria. Okay. In the parasitic plants that develop the haustoria means finger like projections are developed, which are established a connection along which nutrients pass from the host to the parasite. So that mycorrhiza are the associations of the root and fungi. So that in the fungi we are observed that mycorrhiza. So usually these interrupted as symbiotic. They occur widely among woody and herbaceous angiosperms and in gymnosperms also. these roots in some plants, it may have association with the nitrogen fixing bacteria of species Rhizobium that is beneficial to the plant. So this association leads to the development of root nodule. Already we know that special type of roots are there. Root nodules are present in the Leguminaceae family. That is because of that nitrogen fixing bacteria, that mainly we are known example, that is Rhizobium. Okay, so that is beneficial to the plant. Nitrogen fixing bacteria, it is attachment. This association leads to the development of the root nodule. Root nodules are developed in the Leguminaceae family plants. So what are the anatomical characters of the root? Coming to the root, see here, some examples are given. Anatomy of dicotyledon root and monocotyledon roots. So first I'm going to explain introduction about the what are the anatomical characters of the root. The internal organization of the root is very simpler than that of a stem. Because of that, a transverse section of the root shows, see here in this, this is the transverse section of the root. It shows a clear differentiation of the three tissue systems, that is epidermal, ground and vascular tissue systems. That already we are discussed that what are the epidermal and ground and vascular tissue systems. The roots can be differentiated from the stem on the basis of the following characters, mainly that stomata and cuticle are absent in the epidermis. Stomata and cuticle, these two are absent in the epidermis. What is the difference between root and stem? I will explain this. Unicellular root hairs arise from epidermis, and the cortex is well developed. See here, this is the cortex. Below the epidermis, that cortex is there. It is well developed and it is with parenchymatous cells. Endodermis is distinct with Casparian thickenings. Already we are discussed in the yesterday's class what are the Casparian strips or thickenings in the endodermis. So pericycle is usually one layered and parenchymatous, and after that lateral roots arise from the pericycle and hence endogenous in origin. Vascular bundles are separate and radial. Xylem is always exarch in nature. Exarch means xylem is present at the outer side. Okay, that is exarch condition. This is about the anatomical structure of the root. So coming to the anatomy of young dicot root, see here. So coming to the some example is given, sisal root. So in the anatomy of young dicot root, it shows following characters, that is epidermis. Already you know what is that epidermis. It is the outermost layer, very simple. So I will explain this young dicot root anatomy. First one is the epidermis. It is the outermost layer and it is derived from the dermatogen or the protoderm of the root apical meristem. Okay, so this is the outermost layer and it is derived from the dermatogen or the protoderm of the root apical meristem. It is made up of thin walled living cells that are compactly arranged in the transverse section. These cells appear rectangular or sometimes isodiametric and oval in shape. So that epidermal cells are that may be rectangular or sometimes isodiametric or oval in shape. The epidermis usually lack the stomata and cuticle. So in the root anatomy, that usually that stomata and cuticle are absent. Remember this. In some herbaceous perennials, where the epidermis is long-lived and act as a chief protective tissue, the walls of epidermal cells are cutinized in some herbaceous perennials. Okay, so that breathing roots in the halophytes possess specialized pores in the epidermis. These are called lenticels. So remember this. Whereas the halophytes, it possesses the specialized pores in the epidermis. Those are called lenticels. So lenticels observed in the halophytes. It's very important point. And coming to the root epidermis is usually uniseriate. Most of the epidermal cells extend out in the form of tubular unicellular root hairs. The cells of the epidermis which form root hairs are called trichoblast. The root hairs are called trichoblast. And these cells usually smaller in size. The epidermis is also known as piliferous layer or epiblema. See here, epidermis, it is also known as piliferous layer or epiblema. Normally, the root hairs are confined to a region between 1 to several centimeters in length near the tip. This region is known as root hair zone. So these root hairs are usually short-lived and dry out on the mature portions of the root. The main functions of the epidermis are protection and absorption of water and solutes. This is about the epidermis. See here, this is the outermost layer. It has many thin-walled cells. From sometimes its cells arise unicellular hair. So cuticle is absent. Okay, that is about the epidermis. Coming to the cortex. The cortex is massive and consists of several layers. It's thin-walled parenchyma cells. See here that it is very thin. Region is present intercellular spaces. Cortical cells are filled with the starch grains. Some cells having the starch grains, and sometimes the epiblema degenerate. The outer layer of the cortex become thick-walled and function as exodermis. Okay, sometimes we observe that epidermis is degenerated and the outer layer of the cortex become thick-walled and function as exodermis. Sometimes, generally, in the older roots, few layered exodermis, it consists of thin-walled compact cells, is present just below the epiblema. And endodermis is the ring-like innermost layer of the cortex. It made up of barrel-shaped cells. That is endodermis. The Casparian strips are present in the endodermis cells. Some of the endodermal cells, particularly those opposite to the protoxylem, are thin-walled and have been termed as a Passage cells. So some in the endodermal cells, particularly those opposite to the protoxylem, these are thin-walled and have been termed as Passage cells. So that chloroplasts are generally absent, but in the roots of some water plants and aerial parts of many epiphytes, the chloroplasts are present in the cortical cells. So that some we are observed that tannin cells and mucilase cells are also have been reported in the cortex of many roots. Example, but in the some roots of some water plants and aerial roots of many epiphytes, that Tinospora example for that. Okay, so in halophytes, that stone cells are sclerites of various shapes are present in the cortex. Halophyte specialization, already we discussed that some in the epidermis, some specialized pores are there, those are called lenticels. And one more thing about the halophytes, these are having in the cortex region, stone cells are sclerites of various shape are present in the cortex. Okay, remember this is also very important point. And that the cortical cells in the roots, some dicotyledons, example brassica, pyrus, and prunus, it may develop prominent reticulate or band-like thickenings outside the endodermis. Some band-like thickenings are present in the outside of the endodermis. So what are the functions of cortex? It is a main aerating tissue and that helps in the gaseous exchange. The cortex cells store the food material in the form of starch grains and lipids. In the root hair zone, the cortical cells helps in the passage of absorbed water and solutes from the epidermal cells to the xylem. It is known as lateral conduction. That is about the cortex. So that's the type of cells are called passage cells. Okay. So next, coming to the pericycle endodermis. So what are the already endodermis discussed that this is the innermost distinct layer of the cortex. It consists of a single layer of compactly arranged barrel-shaped cells. The cells are living and are characterized by the presence of Casparian strips. Okay, so thin-walled passage cells are also present in the endodermis. The endodermis behaves like watertight jacket around the steel. This is generally destroyed after the secondary growth. That is about the endodermis. Coming to the pericycle, the layer next to the endodermis is known as pericycle. Okay, what is pericycle? This layer is next to the endodermis. Below the endodermis, that layer is called pericycle. It constitutes the outer boundary of the primary vascular cylinder of the dicot root. The pericycle may be uniseriate or multiseriate. Example, Morus, Salix. Okay, the pericycle may be uniseriate. Most of the plants having the pericycle uniseriate, but sometimes we are observed that multiseriate pericycle is present. Morus and Salix examples. Remember this. And aerial roots of the Ficus bengalensis. మర్రి చెట్టు అంటాం కదా, సో దట్ ఏరియల్ రూట్స్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫైకస్ బెంగాలెన్సిస్ we are observed that many layers of pericycle is present, that is called multiseriate. It is generally composed of thin walled cells. In the Salix, that multi-layered pericycle is made up of thick walled cells. And come to the phellogen and part of the vascular cambium originate in the pericycle. Coming to the last one, vascular bundles. See here that vascular bundles are 2 to 6 and radial. These are present alternate and radial. So next, coming to the, which one is diagrams? Okay, see here, this is the GMS. Okay. Okay, this is the stem. Actually we are discussing root. Okay, so the vascular tissues, the vascular bundles are alternate and radial. Xylem and phloem form separate alternating bundles. The xylem is typically exarch. Okay, the number of xylem and phloem strands vary from 2 to 8 in dicot roots. According to their number, the roots are designated as diarch, triarch, tetrarch and polyarch. Okay, xylem bundles are, it may be 2, we are called diarch. 3 xylem bundles are there, triarch. 4 are there, tetrarch. And polyarch, many xylem bundles are present in that is called polyarch. Only one xylem strand occurs in the slender root of the hydrophyte, Trapa natans. Okay, so remember this. Only according to their number, the roots are designated as 2 to 8 vascular bundles are present, but only one xylem strand is occurred in the Trapa natans. So example for the diarch, Linum, Dacus, Lycopersicum nicotiana. Linum, Dacus and Raphanus, Lycopersicum nicotiana, the roots are diarch. Diarch means 2 xylem bundles are present. So in the Pisum, Batani, Pisum ante Batani, the root is triarch. In the Cicer and Helianthus, the roots are tetrarch. Okay, these are the examples for diarch, triarch, tetrarch. Diarch examples are Linum, Dacus, Lycopersicum nicotiana. Triarch example is Pisum. In the Cicer and Helianthus, it having the tetrarch. 4 xylem bundles are there. In some dicots, the root of the same plant may show di, tri and tetrarch xylem also. So such roots are called heterarchic roots. Example, Nymphia. Okay, so this is about the vascular bundles. So that the parenchyma cells between the xylem and phloem, it form a tissue that is called complementary tissue or conjunctive tissue. We are discussing in the last class, that is conjunctive tissue in between the xylem and phloem. The central region of the root is occupied by a narrow parenchymatous pith or medulla. Sometimes it is absent. So what are the silent features of the dicot roots? Mainly, the xylem bundles vary in number from 2 to 6 or 2 to 8. They may be diarch, triarch, tetrarch, pentarch, hexarch or polyarch. Okay, these are the types of the xylem bundles. Vary in number. It may be 2, that is diarch. Okay, it's very simple. And the pericycle gives rise to lateral roots and a secondary cambium at the time of secondary growth. The pith is very scanty or altogether it absent. This is about the dicot root anatomy. Okay, so coming to the monocot root, it shows differentiation into same epidermis, cortex and stele. Okay. So in the slides, the monocot, this is the Zea mays root. Wait. Next, coming to the monocot root anatomy. So same epidermis. This is the outermost layer of the root and composed of compactly packed elongated cells. So many epidermal cells produce root hairs. However, aerial roots and roots of hydrophytes do not produce the root hairs. In the hydrophytes, that do not produce the root hairs. Epidermis is usually uniseriate, but in many orchids and in epiphytic aeroids, the epidermis becomes multiseriate. Please remember this, it's very important. But many orchids, so usually it is uniseriate only, but in the many orchids and in epiphytic aeroids, Araceae family, the epidermis becomes multiseriate. It is commonly known as the velamen. It is called a velamen. Please remember this, it's very important term. That epidermis is usually uniseriate, but in many orchids and in epiphytic aerides, the epidermis becomes multiseriate. So that is, it is commonly known as the velamen. It consists of compactly arranged non-living cells with thickened walls. The cells of the velamen are quite big in size and contain air and water in them. That the cell walls develop fibrous thickenings and the velamen acts as a protective layer and reduces the loss of water from the cortex. That is the velamen. It presented in monocot roots. See here, this is the example of Zea mays root structure. That coming to the cortex is well developed and it is usually made up of several layers of parenchyma cells. The cells are mostly isodiametric in the shape and have large intercellular spaces. These help in gaseous exchange. Okay, this is the about the cortex of monocot root. A few layers of cortex immediately beneath the epidermis undergo suberization and gives rise to the exodermis. Already we have discussed that in the dicot root anatomy. So that sometimes that epidermis is degenerated, that outermost layer of the cortex, it going to change as the thickenings and have the that act as the exodermis. Some authors designate it has hypodermis, but sclerenchyma cells are abundantly present in the roots of water plants, hydrilla and potamogeton typha. These are the hydrophytes. So, and Oryza sativa, that the cortex is transversed by a large air spaces in them, such as that a cortex is called lacunate. So some hydrophytes, some gaps are there. Okay, so that air spaces in them, in the cortex region, that large air spaces in them in that structure, such a cortex is called a lacunate. Coming to the endodermis, that innermost layer of the cortex is called endodermis. Same, that the cells have the Casparian strips in the both the radial and transverse cells. The endodermal cells opposite to the protoxylem elements remain thin-walled and are called passage cells. Okay, same, they allow the radial diffusion of water. Coming to the pericycle, it is usually uniseriate and is composed of thin-walled parenchyma cells. In the maze, it may be multiseriate. See here. In this is the Zea mays. So you observe that pericycle is made up of two layers. See here. So this is the endodermis, first outermost layer, and after that the pericycle is made with the two layers of cells. Okay, multiseriate parenchymatous tissue. In the older roots of the pericycle often undergoes sclerification partly or entirely. In many monocotyledons, some grasses and agave, Dracaena, the pericycle consists of several layers. Please remember that Dracaena and agave. Some grasses also, it has the many layers, several layers, consists of several layers. Pericycle, it is generally complete a ring of cells, but in some grasses it's continuity is interrupted by the protoxylem elements or phloem elements. Okay, this is about the pericycle. Coming to the vascular tissues, the roots show radial arrangement with the alternating strands of xylem and phloem. The xylem shows exarch condition. The vascular strands are separated by the sclerenchymatous conjunctive tissue. This is specialization. The vascular strands are separated by the sclerenchymatous conjunctive tissue. The number of xylem strands ranges from 8 to 20. That is, the root is polyarch in nature. Okay, so that is about the monocot root vascular bundles. So what are the silent features of monocot root? Mainly, the xylem groups are numerous, polyarch in condition, and generally vary from 12 to 20. 12 to 20 xylem groups are there in the monocot root. Okay, that is the specialization of monocot root. And the pericycle gives rise to lateral roots only. The pith is well developed. Okay, the center part is filled with the pith. So mainly, what are the differences you observed in the dicot and monocot root? Please see here, what are the main differences? This is very important. First one is the xylem bundles. You observed in the dicot root only 2 to 6. The number varies between the xylem groups are only 2 to 6, diarch, triarch, tetrarch. Okay, 2 to 6 or 2 to 8. But in the monocot root, number of bundles more than 6, polyarch condition. The polyarch condition we observed in the monocot root. That is the difference between dicot root and monocot root. Coming to the pericycle, in the dicot root, it gives rise to lateral roots and the cambium. But in the monocot root, it gives rise to lateral roots only. Okay, so that pericycle gives rise to lateral roots and the cambium. But in the monocot root, it gives rise to lateral roots only. Next, coming to the metaxylem, usually polygonal in shape. So that metaxylem, it is polygonal in shape. But coming to the monocot root, usually oval or spherical in shape. Oval or spherical in shape. That is the difference. And coming to the conjunctive tissue, dicot root usually parenchymatous. Conjunctive tissue means between the xylem and phloem, that connecting tissue, that is conjunctive tissue, that is usually parenchymatous observed in the dicot root, but in the monocot root usually parenchymatous, but in the maize it is sclerenchymatous. This is the special character of the maize, that is conjunctive tissue. In the maize it is sclerenchymatous. Remember that, usually parenchymatous, but in the maize we observe the sclerenchymatous. Coming to the pith, small or completely absent in the dicot root, but in the monocot root, large and well developed. Large and well developed we observed in the monocot root. Okay, so this is about the monocot root. So we are having the anatomy of storage roots. Example already given, that brassica, raphanus, hypomia, dacus carota, carrot. Okay, beetroot, carrot, raphanus, mullangi. Okay, so these all are examples for the storage roots. So underground roots become thickened and serve as the organs for the storage of food. Such swollen roots are called storage roots or tuberous roots. Example for that, brassica rapa, raphanus, sativus, and hypomia batatas. Each cambium ring produces a wide zone of secondary xylem and a small zone of secondary phloem. Okay, this is we are called storage roots or tuberous roots. Coming to the hydrophyte roots, it have the air chambers are there in the cortex region. Please remember that, that is a special character. And in the beta vulgaris, we are observed that several rings of accessory cambium arises concentrically. So these cambia produce collateral vascular bundles. So in that concentric circle separated by the wide radial channels of secondary parenchyma, that which stores the food material. So in the beetroot, you observe that you cut at the center some concentric rings are observed, growth rings, okay, that is storage parenchyma. In the beetroot you observe that. And coming to the some respiratory roots, we are observed that in the mangrove plants, the roots concerned with the respiration, so those are called respiratory roots. But the plant species like mangroves which grow in saline marshy soils suffer from lack of oxygen, as these soils are completely waterlogged, and under these conditions these plants produce some special aerial branches from the roots. These roots bear small pores which help in gaseous exchange. These pores are called uh, nematodes. Okay, these are called nematodes. So in the mangroves, we are observed that these specialized pores. So and the roots are called nematophores, respiratory roots or breathing roots. Okay. So example, mangroves example, Rhizophora avicennia. Rhizophora avicennia. These the nematophores. We are called nematophores. Next, coming to the reproductive roots, sometimes roots are produce adventitious buds, which helps in the propagation. As in many species of agave, agave and Asidium and Murraya, these example for that propagation roots,
Madam,
reproductive roots.
only slide not moving, madam. Only GMA slide is visible.
No, sir, not slides are there for these topics.
Okay, madam, proceed.
So next, coming to the example, important points are explaining, sir. Next, coming to the mycorrhizal roots, we are observed in the this is fungi in the symbiotic association of brachyrhiza, that and fungi is termed as mycorrhiza when the root is covered externally by a fungal mantle. So it is termed ectotrophic mycorrhiza. It is contrast to the ones where the fungus is located in the cortex. This is called that endotrophic mycorrhiza. So this is the two different types of roots we are observed between the association of fungi. And coming to the root nodules, these root nodules, it may have another type of symbiotic association with the bacteria that is beneficial to the plant. This association leads to the development of swelling on roots. It's called root nodules, a phenomenon characteristic of Fabaceae. Fabaceae or Leguminaceae, we are observed these root nodules. The bacteria invade the root and the chiefly throughout the root hairs, while multiplying the bacteria from infection threads by becoming enclosed in a sheath of gum-like material. Okay, so that root nodules developed like that, and the differentiated cells, that inner region harbors the bacteria and is called bactericidal zone. So example, best example for that, Trizobium. This is all about the root. So we will continue from tomorrow onwards that stem anatomy and leaf anatomy. Thank you, sir. Hello.
Madam, thank you very much. This time is very hard time for your at your home, even though you are given your valuable time for our young aspirants. Thank you very much, madam. Regarding of this class, if you have any doubt, my dear Harish and Rosa and other friends, if you have any doubt, please ask our respected madam. Otherwise, I will go into wind up the session. Madam, thank you very much.